So, like I said, we'll look at about 27 questions in order for us to have further musing and think about what success has looked at like in the past 39 days. So the first one has to do with goal setting. Remember the discussion we had about goal setting. So what were your primary goals at the start of this program? What were your primary goals? When you started 2025, did you at all set some goals? And what were those goals? Then, when I gave you the assignment on SMART goals, did you put those goals that you had originally into this assignment for you to verify whether they are indeed SMART goals? I know some of you would have made some changes or retweak after that session. So the question you ask yourself is, were you able to convert those primary goals to SMART goals? And if you're unable to convert them to SMART goals, was it because they were not really relevant to your purpose? Then think about the third question. Did your goal align with your purpose? Okay, did it align with your purpose? Whatever you submitted, for those of you that submitted your SMART goal assignments, those goals that you set, they align with your purpose. And if they did not align, after all the subsequent sessions we've had, building on the foundation we laid about your self-awareness and purpose, were you able to adjust your goals? Because if by now you have not been able to carry out all these responsibilities or tasks, then you still have a lot to do in closing. Because your key takeaway from this session should be that now you have something to run with for 2025 and beyond. So that should address every curiosity about goal setting. And I hope that you're going to do due diligence and justice to this. Let's move to the questions around habits. What new habit did you develop during these 40 days? Course ending tomorrow. There's specific habits that you have audited in your life that you think you have developed. I know yesterday some of you were using some powerful words, to summarize your experience so far. To those who mentioned consistency, indeed, would you have said that is part of the habit that you have cultivated in this program, the past 39 days? If that is true, what are you going to do about it? Because after tomorrow, do you still think that you remain consistent about your growth journey, or you then go and rest on your horses? So you need to know that 40 days out of your entire life is just like a dot. You can do a quick math and imagine what size of dot we are talking about here. 40 days is just almost inconsequential when you look overall the number of days you are meant to stay on Earth. And maybe we should just quickly do that simple math. On average, if one is going to live 90 years, right? How many days is that, going to be without considering leap year? That's going to be about 32,000 days, 32,850 to be specific. That's the total number of days you're going to be alive if you live 90 years. So when you take 40 out of that, what percentage do you think that will be? 40 divided by 32,850, so that you see how intangible, how insignificant, how infinitesimal this is. That's 0.12%. So if you think that you have actually done something in 0.12% of your life, what kind of impact do you think this is going to have that will resonate throughout the remaining about 99% of your life? Think about it. That's how impactful this journey can have. If you think truly the habit you formed or you're forming is something that is worthwhile, how far do you think you're going to run with it? Can you then bet that for the next 40 years, not just 40 days again now, for the next 40 years, you can actually run with that habit? Then, which habits were the most impactful to you? There should be one that you can see that is kind of concentric to your life. What would you say is that concentric habit? Would it be trust? Would it be integrity? I mean, just think about it. And you need to audit this so that you can put it down. And if I were you, I will print it boldly and put it on my wall so that I can see it on a daily basis. And that will serve as a memorial reminder to you. Oftentimes, what I would do is to make it my laptop background, my screen. I remember back in the days when I used to use HP, that's a Microsoft systems. I always have some of these things as my screensaver and background, or in my office, I'll just have it as a sticker note on the wall. I see it on a daily basis. And I keep reminding myself. After a while, it became part and parcel of me that I don't need sticker notes to remind me some of these things, especially as regards my core values. There are things that have engraved in my mind, so I don't need anything to remind me again. It has become part of my consciousness. So that's part of what your habit formation through this program should also help you to do. And if you think you still need further help, make sure you use all these techniques to make to put that image permanently in your mind. Okay, the other question will be, were there any habits you struggled to maintain in the process of this journey, and why? Like I said, if you have response to any of these things, you can interject and let's interact and engage. If there's any particular habits that you think you struggled with maintaining, as you have seen it so closely related to your core values, why do you think that struggle occur? Could it be part of the internal conflicts that we talked about? The intra conflicts, intra war that happens. Maybe there are certain things that scores you need to settle within yourself. And let me tell you this, especially for those that are indicted that need to make some kind of restitution, if you don't restitute, especially when you are being indicted by yourself, now that you're self-aware, that becomes a major haunt for you until you have come to terms with yourself. So what usually I will advise is whatever needs to be done, you don't need to waste time, especially once you are conscious of it. Just make sure you take quick action so that you don't have any form of hindrance or anything to impede your growth. Okay, so I have to ask all these questions because these are reasons why some people will then give up on themselves. At the end of the day, once they are struggling with some habits, for some, it might just be some kind of addiction, and they just feel that they are helpless. No, helplessness does not happen or does not occur in a situation where you are committed to growth. There's no habit that cannot be discarded, and there is no habit that cannot be formed. The same way you learn, you relearn, and you unlearn. So that's the process, and that's what we've done throughout this journey. So think about it. Let's move to the next category of question on self-discovery. self-discovery, where we talk about your self-awareness and determining using SWOT analysis to appraise yourself. Then all those personality tests you did, the one on the disc, Tony Robbins disc assessment. What did you learn about yourself in the process? There should be specific things, beyond the known self. What has been unknown about yourself that you've known now? And then about the blind self, about the revealed self. Did you receive any revelation about who you are in the course of this? Especially when we now got to the point where we began to look at the transcendental elements in life, talking about the spiritual dimensions. Did you at any point in time receive new revelation about yourself? Think about it. Did you take note of those new knowledge? Then, what strength did you discover or develop in the course of this journey? What strength did you discover? Also, what weaknesses or areas of improvement did you identify? Perhaps you have not even been able to overcome the weaknesses. So that becomes part of your continuous commitment to improving on yourself in order for you to ascertain continuous growth. Don't forget, I told you success is not a destination as much as this growth process is not a destination, it's a journey. Okay. And you continue until you get to the point of your purpose being fulfilled. So it's a lifelong journey. So don't think that since you are unable to deal with those weaknesses or overcome them, then that means you can look away from them. No. Once you don't deal with, if you allow it to grow, becomes a major weed or a major evil. So you need to deal with it. And it has to be with a continuous effort. That's why you have to take note of it. Don't forget about the journaling we also mentioned. This is where some of these things need to be documented so that each time you revisit, you know that you still have tasks to an assignment to carry out. Okay, moving away from there, we'll go to time management and prioritization. I know in the previous evaluations and reflections, this had popped up on different occasions from a number of you, looking at how effectively you managed your time during the course of this program. Some had not been able to, submit all the assignments or even do the assignments. Some have been missing the sessions. Uh, all boils down to how you have been able to manage your time and set priorities. Set priorities. Just like this 40 days is not going to go beyond 40 days. Uh, Imagine, could there have been a different way you could have set your priority for you to have deeper commitment, to this session than you accorded yourself? I mean, just think about it. Ask if you are given another opportunity, for such journey to repeat itself, what would you do differently in terms of you setting priority and managing your time? Do you think you would have committed yourself much more? So think about it. What task or activity took most of your time from all the assignments I gave you? At a point in time, I was even feeling guilty that maybe I'd given you too much assignments, all packed within this time. So I had to tell myself, okay, last week, I'm going to cancel whatever assignment I might want to give you. So that's why since Monday, you've not been given any assignments, or Sunday, you've not been given any assignments. And I expect that you use the opportunity to catch up, setting priority. So what distractions did you face and how did you handle them? For me, I've been able to, like I mentioned to you, how I was able to stick to all these times and um, the entire program. because I could have easily been distracted because of a number of things I had to deal with and contend with in other dimensions of my life during the course of the program. So the same thing applies to you. I know it would have just been as easy as ABCD for you to just plug in and join in every day. So what were those distractions? Do you think they will resurface even after now? Do you think you now have a good control over them? Just think about it. I remember it was 2 years ago when I eventually overcome, myself and make that decision that I'm going to cut myself totally away from TV. I never knew I could do it. I mean, it's the idea sounds so foreign and so strange. That how will I survive without watching TV? How on earth will I survive? Well, hey, 2 years has passed and I've not died, and it's actually a phase. So these are some of the sacrifices you need to, think about when you are thinking about distractions. Are there particular set of humans that have established themselves as principal distractors? How are you going to face them? How are you going to, deal with them? Don't forget those tools and techniques we learned about time management and prioritization. Those are the easy things that you can quickly lay your hands on in order to undo all these things. Part of it, learning how to say no, using the Pomodoro technique, that tomato you always remember, and then using the 135 technique. I mean, just look back and repeat all the conversations we had then. So once you list out all those distractions, then you know which particular tool or technique you can use to apply and get your control. Okay, if anybody has anything to share about this, to affirm some of the things that we've discussed and how it has helped you, please don't feel restrained, can share. The other thing is let's look at mindset shift and motivation. In the past 40 days, how did your mindset change? And is there any particular area of life that you now have a change of mindset or reorientation? Maybe you've always thought life is straight. Now I've kind of like confused you or twisted the whole ball game and told you life is not straight. Even as Earth is not rectangular or circular, Earth is spherical, right? So it depends on which side you are seeing per time. So likewise, you need to have this growth mindset in order for you to be able to adapt to every form of change, because change in itself is what is constant in life. So which area of life do you think this mindset is not affecting, or these new streams of impact that the knowledge and the conversations is having on you has really been impacted? Again, we talked about definition of success. Has that changed any understanding within you? How then has it really redirected your focus in life and setting new priorities for yourself? Again, what kept you motivated, when you were facing those challenges? Remember, I shared with you that the most important motivation should come from within. Is that truly where you're getting your source of motivation? Okay, you need to also make an audit in your journal about this. What are your critical source of motivation? Outside of yourself, what are the motivation? Because you really want to give attention to those things. And if they are valid enough, you don't want to integrate them into your life. Okay. The other question is, did you experience any self-doubt and how did you overcome it? Maybe this is one of the hindrances that could have put you backwards and make you pull out of the program because you feel you're inadequate or you don't have what it takes to sustain your movement But hey, here you are. So I want to believe that this experience may not be very, very particular to any one of you, except for those that have dropped for one reason or the other along the way. Then let's go to the growth shoots. Um, this can be looked at from different perspectives depending on individuals. Okay. And that's why you have to personalize this because it has to do with your feeling. So, how do you feel about your overall growth? By the time we're rounding up tomorrow, you must be able to express your mood because I'm going to still apply the final um, evaluation form to everyone. But just start thinking about it. How you feeling? You think you're feeling light, or there's still some form of heaviness within you? Because if you are going to really grow, you have to lay aside every weight, whatever it is that is causing heaviness. Once you have jumped into this 40 days growth journey, those things must have been shed off. So imagine how you started with so much uncertainties, which had necessitated unnecessary load on yourself. It has caused an overweight on yourself. Those worries, apprehension, those stress-induced uh, thoughts. You know, how do you feel about all those things now? You know, uh, Not necessarily that you should now become carefree. Yes, you are still concerned about your life and your growth and your future, but looking at it from the perspective of a new mindset, which is a growth mindset. What surprised you most about this journey? I know some of you have shared this initially, but I still want you to think about this as a way of you celebrating yourself and what you have achieved. I know for some, the experience wouldn't have been predetermined. I know you wouldn't have even imagined some of your feelings ab initio, but here you are with your pleasant surprises, as it were. And if it's unpleasant, again, you need to put it down as audited experience for yourself and ask why has it been unpleasant? Could it be that it had robbed off a lot of things out of your life that you now need to kind of like deal with? For instance, I mean, part of the surprise might be that in you making a real decision on how you need to manage your time and set priority, you need to let go of some friends whom perhaps you have stuck with for years or you even grew up together. But just like the way Abraham had to separate from Lot, you now decided that you need to go your different ways. So how does that feel to you? Because from there, if you could restart these 40 days, what would you then do differently? Okay. If you had to roll back the hands of time and relive this journey, what do you think you would do differently that will enable, a faster growth? Okay. So you need to ask yourself some of these questions and probably um, share some of the answers that you have. Also, on impact, how has this journey impacted your relationships? That's one of the dimension of your life, your career, another dimension, your spiritual life, and generally your physical life, all by your health. Does it make you healthier? Has it improved on your well-being and your wellness and your fitness generally? Okay. Has it changed some certain habits that will enable healthy living for you? I mean, just think about it. How do you think this has? Because if you want to really understand the way you are going to celebrate what you have done to yourself or with yourself in the past 39 days, it has to be from this perspective. What specific lessons have you learned from this journey that you would like to share with others? Don't forget, If you are looking for ways by which you want to start mentoring, want to start giving back, you want to start investing in building your own legacies, you can start from this impact, because much you have received from that abundance, you have to also give. But if you don't take account of these lessons, if you don't take account of, maybe you have not even been taking down notes, you have not been journaling, and we've talked about this repeatedly, then it might be very difficult for you to, acknowledge and relate with those lessons. So it's not too late. You can still go over the videos, watch them, listen to them again, and then take notes, so that then become the premise by which you want to also begin to share with others. How can you use this experience to inspire others so that they too can start their own journey? I just mentioned it now, because the journey is not going to stop here. As you proceed from this particular phase onward, the higher you go and dealing with deeper pressure, the more you need to also pull other people up. It's an attitude of an ego. Okay. So you need to have that ego perspective on life when it comes to impact making. Then coming to celebration in its core, I would like to look at it from the perspective of gratitude attitude, because that was what we emphasize so much about. How will you celebrate your achievements? Thinking about the gratitude um, attitude. How? Do you think it's something we just do spontaneously, or you will have to um, put it on repeat across your lifetime, so that you always make reference to whatever impact you think this journey has had on your life? Imagine how I've been able to also refer and make references to my own past journeys too. If you notice, I've repeatedly mentioned about my encounter with John C. Maxwell. I've mentioned repeatedly about my encounter with late Dr. Ravi Zacharias. I mean, and so many of other journeys I've also embarked on in the time past, if truly they are worthy of celebration, right? That's why I will have to recall and make them pronounced and mention them to you, and possibly also connect them to you. So some of the tools, the techniques, some of the assessments I handed on to you, I shared with you, there are things that also created streams of impact and achievement for me as well, because they enabled me to successfully discover myself or rediscover myself and become self-aware. So you see that there are things that will continue to resonate, So I'm sure you two will not forget those tools. You're not going to forget those techniques, because you continually, make use of them. So that's one of the ways by which you can celebrate, because what you then drop and you don't use, then you don't appreciate. But what you appreciate, you continually make use of. Just like in your wardrobe, there is a particular cloth that no matter how much it looks, you still want to put it on, because it's just that good and just that pleasant on you. I have about 2 or 3 of them, and I keep telling myself, no matter, even if it's tearing, except it's no longer mendable, right? I still want to mend it and still be able to wear it. Is how much I like that, and how much it has really given me a good disposition. So that's part of what you need to think about in celebrating and exhibiting your gratitude attitude. So who helped you along this journey apart from this session? I know some of you eventually cut ties with uh, accountability partnership, right? It's not just only my efforts or whatever it is I've discussed with you here, or maybe outside of the entire group. Maybe there are other people, like Doctor was sharing yesterday, Dr. Shadi was sharing yesterday, about the man whom she had always look up to in her career. Her coming back to come and share means that whatever lessons she took away from here. She was able to interpret it into, you know, engaging and maximizing the opportunity within that network or connection. I mean, so you need to also identify all these other areas where you have been rightly impacted, and then find a way to express your gratitude to them, and see how all this thing makes sense. The other thing is, what positive changes in your life can you attribute to this journey? So make sure you journal it and take note of it. Now, here is the big question before I go to the last three set of questions. What is the most important lesson you are taking away from this journey? Just think about it. What's the most important? All other things are important, but the most significant one, that's in the next 40 years, you should still be relating and still remember. What is that thing? And think about it. That should be a major source of your celebration, because you've come to realize how far that will journey with you in life, right? Even if every other thing does no longer make sense, because changes, disruptions might have affected them, but this particular important thing is going to stick forever with you. For me, going through some sessions and some journeys in John Maxwell leadership, and also connecting with realities, with the perspective and the world views on the disposition of Zachariah and a number of all these other guys. Some of the things I took away from those journeys had never left me. And that's what have brought me up to the point at which I am right now. So when I'm talking deeply about leadership and looking at it from uh, um, global governance, you should know that they are all rooted in those key lessons I'm taking. And the principle remains the same, regardless of any dimension of life you move to when you're talking about leadership. The principles are the same. So I want you to lay hold of this most important thing, and it's going to vary from each of you. Okay. So the final set of questions is this. It has to do with the future. What next? After tomorrow, what next? If you have never thought about it, I'm provoking that right now. What next? What's going to be your next step after tomorrow? Are you going to rest? You still have a number of assignments you've not completed. Do you think you're still going to be committed to ensuring that you complete those assignments and conduct the assessments on yourself? Right? Are you going to walk away from all of this and do like as if nothing has happened to you in the past 39 days? Or you are going to continue to reflect until you have internalized the lessons that you have identified that resonate so much well with you. And more importantly, the most important lesson that you're going to take note of. What are you going to do about it, and how are you going to build on it to ensure, a consistent progression for yourself? That means you now remain unstoppable. So when we are talking about someone being unstoppable, this is exactly what it means. The commitment you're going to have to always seek to take the next step and the next step and the next step and never stopping, come what may. So think about it. And finally, what new goals are you going to set for the new phase of your life? Because, like I said, your life should never remain the same. So you are moving into a new paradigm, because there's a paradigm shift for you, starting with your mindset change. Okay. And generally about your life, as you are going to start governing your life on your own terms. So, what are the new goals you want to set for yourself? It might look so drastic, it might look so irrational to people, but hey, you don't hold them any apology or any explanation. You hold first to yourself your sanity and the direction that is required for you to be celebrated. So these are the fundamental questions that I think you can base your celebration upon. And if you have done good to yourself in order to be able to answer all of this, I think you will have done well celebrating yourself, because through this reflection, you'll see the good things that this program must have done to you. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and I will ask us to, I mean, if there are anyone that resonates, that's about 27 questions I've asked now. Uh, I want you to just think about them. If there are anyone in particular or some in particular that you like to respond to, just to put on record, and let time be your witness that this is who you are now. Life is never going to be the same with you. Okay, so over to everyone. I'm done.
Hmm.
Let me hear from you.
But this is a lot to take in, and if there's anything that I've learned is to reflect and evaluate, because it's one thing to be doing something, and it's another thing to monitor if you're succeeding at it. But these are hard questions, and I think they are very important. But for me, the most important lesson that I learned throughout this journey, I was busy working today, and then I began to reflect on some things. I don't know where that thought came from, but maybe because I've been brooding on some of our classes for a while. And it just felt like I had a light bulb moment. And I said, but truly, purpose is not really my job. Why is it that a lot of people try to put themselves in a box, like a particular job, and they feel that that's where they're fulfilling purpose? And it was as if that was the moment everything you said became clear to me. And I said that those jobs, whatever I do, whatever I decide to do, would be vehicles that would carry or express what my purpose is. And that is what is really the essence. It's not the career choice I make. Whatever career choice I make would be an expression of what my purpose is. And that makes it more beautiful, because I'm able to reach out to a lot of people, do a lot of things, and not putting myself in a box, maybe saying I have to be a medical doctor to fulfill purpose. But knowing that if my purpose is based on leadership or empathy, I can be in the medical field, I can be in the creative field, I can be anywhere. But just those things, that understanding that they are not what makes me, but just they are vehicles of expression for me to express, to fulfill my purpose. And I began to think exactly is then what my purpose is. So I also went for a leadership program today, and it was the same thing that the pastor was saying. He said, "Do you want to live your life and just buy a house, get married, buy a car, and that's it?" He said that's a useless life. I understood that because I already knew what I was being fed with this for today. Many people might just have laughed about it, but it made much sense to me, because I now have a better understanding of what he was trying to say. It's just like some women say their life is based on the end is getting married, having children. It's more than, like, there should be more, and that more is me being able to discover myself, my value, who am I, and what exactly do I want to be my contribution to this world. And one important thing he said today was, said wealth will be for a generation, but legacy is forever. And then to the people that I would like to appreciate, I want to appreciate everyone. Um, I think we have a very good level of rapport. But most especially, I want to appreciate Mom Comfort for deciding to be my accountability partner. I hope to continue that after the this class, because I always like to think about what would happen after I'm done. It's good. It's possible to stay in the excitement, but within the weeks in the year, you forget most of the values you've built if you don't keep cultivating. So I appreciate the fact that I have someone that went through this journey with me. When we're about to lose our path, we can remind ourselves. I've also downloaded all of these videos and saved it somewhere. So I can go back and just in case YouTube wakes up tomorrow and makes it another policy, I can go back and watch it. So the things I'm still struggling with, wow, my major struggle with time management. But today I saw how I was able to achieve more. I just decided that no matter what, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to. There's a lot to say because you said a lot of things, but these are the things that I'd like to share. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. God bless everyone.
Amen. Thank you, Fav. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. And I'm happy that you're already applying some of these principles and you're already seeing how things are panning out. I can only encourage you not to stop. It's just like when you are trying to develop an habit, just imagine someone that wants to increase or grow new set of biceps or whatever they call it in the gym, and you start your fitness session. You don't want to stop, okay? Because when you stop, it's going to cause some kind of deformation to yourself, and sometimes can even induce some sicknesses, so to speak. Well, it varies from persons to persons. So you don't want to start something you don't want to continue, because in itself it's going to bring about a lot of problems. So I'm happy that you've seen some of the things. And what I always tell myself that serve as a major encouragement to me each time I feel like, oh, but I'm not getting instantaneous result now, but I just need to keep going until I hit the mark, is the fact that I've resolved from day one that it's a journey that is worthwhile. And that's why I intentionally decided that this is how I'm going to live my life on my own terms. So I don't care what anybody, even if I may look or seem so controversial. I mean, I don't owe you an apology. It's just a matter of time before you come to terms to realize why my own niche and my space is like this. And then I may become very enviable. And second is the fact that good things don't just happen easily. Trust me. When things are happen, I mean, when things are just happening so easy, I mean, don't be tricked. Don't be tricked. Chances are that those things are not going to outlive the moment. They are not going to stay for too long. But the things that you mine, or the things that goes through a refining process, before you eventually lay hold of it or extract, those are the real valuable elements of nature or life. Part of it is, how long does it take for someone to get a degree? Just think about it. How long does it take for someone to become certified in any area of life? It can't be just something you wake up in the morning and you just decide, oh, I want to get certified, and then you just pick it up. No, it goes through some torturous process. And by the time you emerge certified, then it becomes a valuable tool in your hand. So it's the same thing. Every issue of life, every good thing in life does not come and served a la carte. There are things that you need to intentionally, deliberately plan on how you are going to pursue. And when you overtake it or when you lay hold of it, then you don't want to let go. So, I mean, just make sure you appropriate life in that sense. And I'm sure that you are going to keep winning. Thank you. Any other person? Which of these questions or thought-provoking issues do you want to reflect on? Yeah, doctor.
Hi, Dr. G. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for the response, Favor. The thing that comes to mind first is the question of, has anyone helped you, um, during this journey? And so I'd like to appreciate you, Dr. G, but also the entire team. Um, I understand when you say, when you ask us to talk and give you feedback, and not make it so you're the only one, like you're the only person on the Zoom. It makes a difference when we're here, and we're sharing space together, learning. So I appreciate everyone. It's nice to be around like minds, and sometimes you can get caught in your own world and your immediate circumstances, and feel like, why am I the only one who thinks like this in my immediate surroundings? But when you look up and you look out, you notice that there's a world of us out there. And so I'm excited to be amongst you all. The most learned lesson, I would say, is impact, um, and how the program has impacted me. And I was, like Favor, reflecting on this 40-day journey. And I was reminded of some risk that I have taken, and just in the name of fun. And so how much in the name of purpose. And so, I mentioned in the chat earlier, just like my skydiving experience. And, I've never looked at it before. I mean, I did that back in like 2012 or something like that. And, thinking back to it now, I was reminded of how it's so reminiscent of, starting something new, and all of the risk and fears and doubts and excitement and anxiety, all the things that, you also find in building businesses, and just carving out um, your path. And so um, I would definitely like to keep that going. I think that's something that I'm really going to hold on to, and being intentional and movement, um, and movement and purpose, having that confidence and that boldness, and using wisdom and all the tools you gave us to just be able to, um, hit the ground running. And I would say my weakness has been time management and good habit formation. I think this program has helped. This 4 o'clock or 4 p.m. time slot has really kept me committed and intentional, because I felt like it, it was almost like an inopportune time of day. But I think that I'm going to keep this time slot, as long as I can, at least, to dedicate it toward, building brands, building um, things toward my purpose, and especially now, since the program is coming to a close, continue to use this time slot to just go over your videos, and um, continue to absorb the knowledge and wisdom that you've imparted on us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. This is fantastic. I was expecting someone was going to talk about this. I don't want to come from my mouth, but I'm glad you raised it. One of the things that I would like each of you, to do is the fact that, to help yourself, make sure you have this time. I mean, this is the easy point where you can begin to build, or sorry, to continue the building from, right? Make this more like a ritual to yourself. Don't forget the power of consistency. So don't terminate this time after tomorrow. Okay, in your local time, 10 p.m., 1 hour every day. Think about something you need to do on growth and plan it for this time. Let it become a ritual. If it's going to be that you need to take a book to read, okay, just imagine when you are reading a book every 1 hour on a daily basis. You'll be shocked how many books you're going to read in a year. It's going to be that there's a particular course you need to take online, blah, 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 and you're going to have a busy 23 hours, busy 23 hours on a daily basis. But make sure you make this 1 hour sacrosanct to yourself that is going to be channeled towards your personal growth, okay, and professional development. You'll see how this thing will turn out in the next few years. So thank you, Dr. Shade, for mentioning this, and I hope everybody is going to, emulate this. Thank you. Any other person? I think we can still take 2 or 3 more people before we close. Any other person?
Good evening, sir. And
Yeah,
good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yep.
Good evening, everyone. So thank you for the session and everything, sir, from the day one. I really appreciate, and I commend everyone too that we're able to stay till now. We're able to continue doing till now. And I want to give another accolade again, as I see on the group to Mrs. Favor for always being on time. I call her the Ronaldo of this program.
Yeah.
So if
She's good from me.
yes, so the first I'm going to say is the habit shift for me of this program. Actually, for me, my plan was always that I need to sleep. This 10 p.m. is the actual time I used to sleep every time because I need to wake up very early. So, but even as this program started, normally I'm used to alarm since I was in school. I actually alarm to wake me up for in the morning before the morning prayer and all that. So I started using the alarm more frequently since when I was 7 last 2 years or so. So when I want to attend seminar programs, to put this ahead of me so that it should make it so I won't miss out on things. And then I just used to the calendar more often since last year too. So the alarm now, so I started using the alarm since last year more frequently. Then so since day one of this program, I put this in my calendar for the whole 40 days. And then I set at the alarm 3 minutes before the program. And then to be sincere, it was not really easy for me because I sleep at that 10 a.m. that 10 p.m. rather. But immediately I started this program from the first week, the zeal was still there. I didn't feel the sleep. But later on when stairs came in, it's now becoming difficult for me to cope. So you see, most times I'm always on the work, I'm able to talk. I need to look for a way to short the sleep. So I have to work instead of staying put in the place. If I'm in a place, I'm in those of most times. So I have to start working most times. Sometimes I have to walk around, then walk around so as the sleep will not be so I won't be able to sleep up. And then at the same time, so I was able to like at least there's sometimes when I feel sleepy, sometimes I have to sleep at like some minutes. Even sometimes I have to sleep like 10 to 15 minutes before the class. So I used to have some time for the so I have to have some time. So I have to have time for the class. So that habit shift for me is something I could not even imagine that I'll be able to undergo. And then consistency, I was surprised. Though actually I'm trying my best about that. But I couldn't believe that I could do this for the whole 40 days because actually I missed 2 days. Yes, I missed 2 days. So I couldn't believe that I could finish the program like that first day, that like it is that okay. I would say I have 1 day left actually. So I couldn't believe that I could miss 2 days out of 38, 39 days now. I couldn't believe that. So actually I always try my best on consistency, but as I was able to do the program, finish the session for those days, it seems surprising to me. But one thing about me is that this intention of to do anything, if I put my mind in it, anything I start.
Wow. You are muted, which one?
Oh, can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, sir. So I'm that really helped me that because I always have the mindset that anything I started, I have to finish it. I have to finish it. And that was one thing that happened to me like some years back. I started a program, I could not finish it. So since then, I have the mindset that anything I started, I make sure I make sure that I finish it. Anything, whatever is going to take me to finish that, I have to finish it. That's the mindset. And then the one issue I have now is that time management, as Dr. Prashade mentioned, time management too. So I don't know. Actually, when I'm within the family, around the family, I'm not always able to manage my time. Things always come on some impromptu. Sorry, pardon me. Some impromptu always come on that should disrupt the time the daily to do list. So that's one weakness I think I'm facing. Actually, I actually plan the day in the morning or the previous night before the next day. But sometimes when I'm around the vicinity, the family as family place, I'm not always able to manage the time. That's one thing about that. So and then there's the major takeaway for me I would say about in this program is what Dr. Rashidi mentioned is about the giving the feedback. When you talk about giving feedback, I attend before I was able to join this program. I attended a program organized by Lagos State as a graduate Lagos State graduate internship for graduate training. The training was like a 3 days. Sorry, a 3 weeks training. We were trained by a professional. Sorry with my words and all that. So after the 3 weeks, we were given to where we were like we were like we were given jobs into like different opticals that want to just do some training with them, like we did that do training with them for another 3 months. So in the 3 weeks, actually in the class, I usually talk, but not that it's a physical class. We saw the class twice in a week. So I could not even actually I don't usually talk in the class because of this my my speech and all that, confidence and all that. But I met Dr. Golan at Big Five Constituents, Alamak. As that was the first time I met you. And when you so I would before I met you, before you come for your talk that day, within those 3 days, I asked questions in that class. I was like, I could not ask questions in a 3 weeks program, 3 weeks that was even between that was within just within graduates. But I'm able to like at least stand up and ask questions here. So I think that gave me a little bit in public. And then the next you made your speech, I was totally glued to you that this kind of somebody I'm looking for to learn public speaking from, like to learn more from, like the way your articulation and your eloquency that I was glued to it. So then when I saw this a particular program on LinkedIn, I jumped at it once and for straight once and for all. So when you ask us to give feedback in this program, that's another thing that I see that it really helps me. It is boosting my confidence bit by bit to speak, even to say what I have in mind, whatever it may be. I don't know if it is relevant. If sorry, it should be actually it must be relevant, but it may look odd to other people, as Dr. Prashode said, that what what you need to present, what you need to say may look odd or maybe outdated to other people, but you know that you need to say this, you need to say it out, and then so at least so at least maybe been doing that all this while, it's giving me boosting my confidence to always talk because I'm somebody who keeps to himself a lot. I'm kind of I'm reserved, I'm reticent. I don't usually speak out most times like that. But for the past days, when that we have been having this session, I feel that now I tend to talk more, even speak out, keep putting out from that being reticent from that being reserved to talk more of what I have in my mind. So that's that is a great A for me, as in that's one thing that's
You're muted.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
So I say that's the most important thing, that's the most important lesson not take away from me from this session. So thank you.
Wow. This really resonates so well with me. Well done, Utsman. And I'm happy to see how you are emerging. I think one of the sessions I shared about this struggle I also had many years ago, being a staunch stammerer. You know, when they say someone is staunch stammerer, the stammering has gotten to the point that it's now reflecting in habit and in behavior. In fact, most times is consequence of emotions, right? So I mean, I had to just look for a way to manage myself. And the easy secret out of it was for me to now understand my emotions. So when I'm able to govern my emotions, I'm just excellent. So when I tell people that I'm a touch stammerer, they can't just articulate. I mean, it's just not connecting. You know, I remember when I got married, the few years, how you just be complaining. You don't talk. You don't do this, blah blah blah. You know, when I started my public speaking engagement and all of that, it's now the other way around. Oh, you talk too much. You talk too I'm like so Usman, I'm saying this just to encourage you. It's a phase of life. You will surely get over it. And I'm happy that there's already progress based on what you said now. What you just need to do, I mean, just like everything I explained about growth, you are now seeing the pattern of growth that there is nothing that cannot be changed. You know, there is no situation, there is nothing, practically nothing in life that cannot be changed. The same way people cultivate habits, good ones and bad ones, is the same way you can reorientate, you know, your mind about certain things. And like I mentioned, everything is from the seat of your mind in your brain. Okay. Stuttering has been controlled by our emotions, blah, blah, blah. And all of these things have a seat within our brain. So if you're able to have a command of some of these things, then you would know. My start by learning how to speak rather than rushing over your thoughts or ideas. I want to take it one after the other. And then whatever you're passionate about, you have to also learn how to calm down. Remember those times I used to use Rubik cubes and these spinner, you know, just to ensure that I have control of my feelings, my emotions, you know, just to calm down, kind of, you know, so you can lay your hands on all these things and then keep building yourself, because the more you know, the more confident you are going to be. You know, the more you know things, the more you are vast about subjects, about, you know, you go into deep learning and all of that, you study well, the more you are finding expression within your deep down in your mindset. So it's a journey, and I hope you are going to get to the zenith by God's grace. Thank you. Thank you for that. One more person so that we can close. If there's any other person I want to speak, time is fast spent. Except everybody don't mind, but I really want us to close the next few minutes. So if there's anybody that wants to still share from all these questions I've provoked tonight, as part of ways by which you can, you know, celebrate yourself on what you have done and what you have achieved in your life in the past 39 days. Okay, I think we should end then. So tomorrow we're going to see and have the final session. So thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, sir. Good
Bye,
night, everyone.
everybody.